July 7th, 2026, Atlanta. You're watching what looks like the biggest upset in recent football history, right? And then, suddenly, it twists into the most dramatic, explosive controversy of the entire tournament. Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're breaking down exactly what went wrong, or, what went right, depending on who you ask, under those stadium lights.
Let's dive right into it. There is a massive, high-stakes, billion-dollar question driving global outrage right now. Is FIFA actively rigging the World Cup for Lionel Messi? Now, I know, it sounds kind of absurd on its face, but let me tell you, the internet is absolutely convinced. And to understand why this theory is spreading like wildfire, we really have to go back to the pitch.
Section 1. The Atlanta Incident. Setting the stage.
So, picture this. We've got the defending champions, Argentina, facing off against a relentlessly determined Egypt in a super high-pressure knockout match. And the sheer speed at which everything unraveled is just staggering. By the 75th minute, Egypt holds a stunning 2-0 lead. Fast forward to the 85th, and Egypt scores what literally looks to be the final knockout blow. But wait, no. The referee freezes the game. VAR pulls the play back nearly 30 full seconds to disallow the goal for a foul by Marwan Adia. Okay, fine. But then, just 3 minutes later, a really heavy challenge by Argentina's Alexis McAllister on Mohamed Salah goes completely unreviewed. And in the 90th minute, Argentina scores the dramatic 3-2 winner.
Well, as you can imagine, the fallout was instantaneous. Egypt's coach, Hassam Hassan, stepped right up to the mic after the game and flat out said, perhaps they wanted the world champions to stay. The cup is directed towards Argentina. When a national team coach publicly makes an accusation like that, it doesn't just spark a debate, it throws absolute gasoline on the fire.
The global outrage was immediate, and I mean everywhere. Even chess legend Garry Kasparov took to social media to call FIFA a corrupt joke playing favorites for stars. Within hours, your social media timelines were probably completely flooded. Hashtags like #RiggedWorldCup and #JusticeForEgypt were trending worldwide. This wasn't just a few disgruntled fans complaining at a pub. This was a massive global movement of suspicion.
Moving on to Section 2. Factual versus subjective VAR, the architecture of decisions.
Now, you might be wondering, how could a tournament heavily monitored by literally hundreds of cameras and sensors possibly be rigged? Well, inside the video operations room, there are two completely different kinds of decisions happening. On one side, we have factual decisions. We're talking semi-automated offside technology, 29-point player body tracking that's accurate to the millimeter, and actual microchips inside the ball. It is pure mathematical precision. But on the other side, we have subjective decisions, things like fouls, penalties, red cards, and these rely entirely on human judgment.
The absolutely crucial point here is that nobody really argues with the math of factual calls. For instance, look at Iran's match earlier in the tournament. They had a dramatic 93rd minute equalizer totally wiped out over a single millimeter of offside margin. Because it was tracked factually, by the computers, the decision stood without massive controversy. The math is simply the math.
But those subjective calls? Yeah, that's a whole different story. Football's lawmaking body, IFAB, actually states in their protocol that VAR can only intervene on a human judgment call if there is a clear and obvious error. But clear and obvious is, well, it's entirely subjective. It isn't a millimeter measurement on a screen, it's an opinion. And fans believe this exact gray zone is the loophole where selective enforcement thrives.
Which brings us to Section 3, the selective blindness pattern, a history of controversy.
Fans and pundits who believe the tournament is rigged argue that the Atlanta incident definitely wasn't an isolated event. They point to a historical pattern suggesting the scales have been tipping for a while now. I mean, think about it. Earlier in the 2026 group stage, a studs-up tackle by Messi on Algeria's captain went completely unreviewed. Then, a heavy McAllister tackle against Austria went unchecked right in the build-up to a goal. And if we rewind even further to the 2022 Qatar World Cup, fans point to a whole string of marginal penalty calls that consistently favored Argentina en route to their title.
Former coach Carlos Queiroz actually summed up this frustration perfectly. He joked that VAR seems to go for a coffee whenever a star player is the one committing the foul. It's a funny way of putting it, for sure, but it hits the nail right on the head. It captures exactly why fans are so angry right now. They feel the technology intentionally turns a blind eye when the biggest names are involved.
Let's look at Section 4, the business of Messi, following the money. So why would FIFA actually do this? If there really is a conspiracy to keep Argentina in the tournament, we've got to examine the alleged motive.
And as with most conspiracies, the easiest way to find a motive is to just follow the money. The 2026 World Cup is spread across the US, Mexico, and Canada, making it FIFA's biggest commercial event in history. To make the math work, broadcasters and sponsors desperately need casual viewer ratings. And let's be honest, nothing pulls in casual eyeballs quite like Lionel Messi chasing down one more trophy. To the business side of the sport, superstars are literally invaluable.
Well, the internet took that financial reality and totally ran with it. During the Atlanta match, a photo went viral showing FIFA president Gianni Infantino looking, let's say, visibly tense, while Egypt was leading. To online theorists, this wasn't just a guy watching a really tense football match. No, to them, this was undeniable proof of financial panic at the prospect of losing Messi before the quarterfinals.
But let's look at the other side. Section 5, the case for human error, the objective view.
Before we go ahead and declare the entire sport fundamentally corrupt, we really need to look at the objective, rational, data-backed counter-arguments. Sports data researchers and former referees have a very different take on all this. Deliberate corruption implies a massive, coordinated effort to rig ratings, which is a huge claim. But human error, that just highlights the genuine, fundamental difficulty of applying highly subjective rules consistently in real time under immense pressure. The reality is, referees make inconsistent calls in both directions in literally every single tournament.
So why do so many people believe there's a coordinated pattern? Well, the simplest explanation is actually psychological: confirmation bias. This is the tendency for us fans to remember every single call that perfectly fits our rigged narrative and then, quietly forget the dozens of calls that don't. When you're actively looking for a conspiracy, every single missed foul looks like undeniable proof.
VAR technology was supposed to end refereeing controversy forever, right? But instead, it seems to have just moved it into a video room. So, we're going to leave it to you. Was the Atlanta incident a rigged effort to save a superstars tournament? Or was it just really, really bad luck for Egypt and a referee having a tough night? Take away what you've learned from this explainer, look at the evidence, and you decide.